Hello, monkey. Last time. Just a sec. Last time we left off with a bug, which was when we tried to fight the boss when we already defeated him. Then it's not triggering. So today we have to find out why that happened. You have to make sure this is correct. Did I start a new game? No. Okay, why is this not triggering? This is one of those very strange bugs that happens sometime, I would assume. Sometimes the things are not initialized correctly. At least when I'm in editor started. Very, very strange. Now there are other errors apparently. What happened here? I guess it's looking for a gold path or something. Check this. I hope it's just because of cheats, but I'm really not sure what's going on there. Oh, I forgot the boss dialogue. That's maybe the problem. Well, scene. Yeah, my boss spawn broke when I converted it from the old dialogue system to the new one. And I assume with the new one it will not work. I need to probably build a new feature. But right now I'm trying to find out what the initial bug is before I can look into the fixing of the future. So it's Island 5. How are you doing, man? I didn't even know you had a boss fight. Well, yeah, I mean, I rarely play the game, right? I have a boss fight. It's very, very stupid, but there is a boss fight. It was my for my last package, my last milestone. It was I had the goal to have something playable, so I added a boss in there. And in the end, it's just a scaled up version of one of the Orblings. It has its own AI though. It has like a attack order it uses. But it's not balanced at all. But that was never my focus. I just made it a little bit playable, so at least I had something to show instead of gray boxes and just concepts, you know? Yeah, I mean, the game I am, how to say, that inspired me to make this also has boss fights which are just normal monsters scaled up. So that's how my game will also be. Only probably not with the first evolution, but with the last evolution of the Orblings. But I don't have the meshes for them, so they will have to do like this now. So this was missing. I guess we have to add a boss dialogue in there now, which is a little stupid because the boss should not talk. Well, maybe it should talk, but initially I was not planning it to have a dialogue, and right now with the system I have now, every single boss needs to talk now. So I might need to add that feature that we can trigger things from the dialogue without having a speech. Funny because you're like, oh, this is where they come from. I made it here. What do you mean? I suppose Dark Souls does a lot of the reverse. Mini bosses are actually just the normal enemies or later game areas. Yeah, I mean, many Japanese people, I say, games have it like that. Mini bosses become normal enemies in many older Japanese games. Where was I? I wanted to make the dialogue. I guess I have to add a boss dialogue one here too. So let's get our templates. But what do you mean by I made it here? A procedural dungeon? Define procedural. Is it like a random generated one? And that one mini boss that gave you a hard time is George started. I have no idea what you're talking about with those words. I never played Dark Souls. I mean, I played Dark Souls 1 and then never finished it to 3/4 of the game, I think. What do we call this? What did we call it for these? We said trial Orpling dialogue. Level 1 trial Orpling dialogue. This one we call boss 1 dialogue. Boss, and you can connect art. Many of the Souls locations are cities that have been lost to some catastrophe, usually involving grotesque creatures in one form or another. Oh, everything in a Souls game comes from a place. Otherwise, NPCs hail from those places, and so on do the monsters. Okay, I do understand, but what's the connection to what you said earlier? Like, how did you come to this topic? I lost the initial thing. How you started this? Like, what was the reason to come to Dark Souls topic? How did this open? We were talking about sized up normal enemies as mini bosses. Ah, okay, yeah, and Dark Souls doesn't have sized up, they are just the normal bosses as normal enemies at some point. There's also this reoccurring thing in Japanese games where initially you have a hard time in games and then they throw in like bosses at you and then you learn them and then you get better, and at the end, at the last boss, you have like a boss rush mode kinda and have to kill the original bosses, and you if you are good in the game, you realize that you actually got better. In all the Mega Man games it's like this, no? At least the X ones. So the problem here is this will now open a dialogue. I don't want that, probably. What we do want to do is this. And this needs to be a boss fight thing. Is it just boss? How does this even work? How does this start a boss fight? Funnily enough, Res is a game that does that, even though it's not an RPG. But Res is a Japanese game, no? Back in the day, I played the demo. I remember that game. So it's a common theme in Japan, I think. They have a certain design philosophy back in the day. Or design concepts they use in many games of theirs. And this boss rush kind of thing is a recurring thing, and also I like the concept that they throw you into the game without a tutorial, and then you have to pass a filter. I love that. Armored Core had that. Even the newest Armored Core had that in a dialed up version. Like the older Armored Core games always had this in a smaller scale where you just have to fight without knowing the controls. But the new Armored Core, holy shit, they throw you into the fight with the boss. But I guess that's because they had this with Dark Souls. So yeah, I guess From Software has evolved in that sense. But this without tutorial thing was the best, how to say, the best example I know of this is actually not a Japanese game. Do you know the game Driver? I never played it myself, I think only a little bit. But that game starts in a parking lot and you have to do some stunts, and it doesn't explain you how to do them. It just says the stunt name and you have to figure it out in that parking lot. And if you cannot pass that, you cannot play the game. I guess, yeah. The moment you do that, your game becomes niche. But if you have a following like From Software now, people are inclined to try it out. Yes, true. That's why some people get filtered from in Armored Core in the first level. I guess it's some kind of resource you can spend as a company. I know, but in the end it's a balance of where you want to place your game, I guess. Because how to say, the way you make your game fosters also a community for that. And depending on what kind of community you want, you can design it for that. But I guess most AAA games want the most or the biggest sale numbers as possible, which makes it yellow paint everywhere and everything is easy, and the sidekick can actually beat the level if you just walk around, and I don't know. And then you have to balance that with people that actually want a challenge, and then it gets a lot of difficulty settings and whatever. It's a very hard thing to balance. In my personal taste, I like difficult games, but sometimes if they are too difficult and I realize that I'm wasting my time, that's when I'm stopping. But I also like filters where the game is actually challenging me. What I don't like is when I play a game and it becomes a memorizing game, as in I memorize some kind of pattern and I'm not actually getting better, because the next fight I also have to memorize another pattern, and I'm just memorizing one aspect of the game instead of having the skill to beat everything. That's one of my personal things that I do not like. Although I do like one particular game where you had to do this, but I was a kid when I was learning this, which is like a shoot 'em up game. Because in shoot 'em up games you have to learn the whole game to be actually good. And that's like you face one wall after the other and then you just basically turn the game into a rhythm game, since you just learn everything instead of learning a skill. And I would argue that I don't know how the newer Souls games are, but the old ones is always like this, where you have to fight a boss and then you have to learn their patterns, and I don't know. I don't really like that. It was the same with Black Myth Wukong, where the boss fights have like these patterns that you have to learn, or you have to be a cracked visual cue, I don't know, press the right button by intuition kind of guy, but I don't know if that's even possible. Ah, okay. Well, when I played Dark Souls 1, I made a squishy glass cannon, so I needed to learn the patterns. Okay, so I wanted to check how this actually starts a fight, because it makes no sense in my head right now that this can start a fight. But maybe there's a lookup because of boss 1. Why start? Ah, it is because of boss 1. This is looking up the correct fights. So now we have to look at our dialogue. We have to open our dialogue system, which is here. There's my state machine. Here it is. Oh, okay, yeah. The normal way to play DS1, or I suspect the median casual playthrough, is as a big beefy knight who can tank some hits and trade blows. Anyway, I gotta run. Okay, bye bye scene. When I played Dark Souls 1 though, I was like a naked guy with a big sword. And it was painful. I guess. I didn't feel like an expert though. Okay, we have to look into the battle FN. This one. So when we are in the boss fight here, should get the things, but I just need to put 0 and 1 in the dialogue interaction actor. Is coming into play here. I already have. So I was just missing that dialogue then, I guess. The payload doesn't matter. Maybe. Let's see, does it matter? Goes in there. Where's the normal payload? It's here. Just goes here. And the normal payload is already in here as boss. Could be here instead. This makes no sense, probably. Maybe? I'm not sure. Command. Yeah, the command goes into nothing. Okay, I believe this will now start the boss fight, but with a dialogue bubble, which we have to turn off afterward. Here. Oh, my tea, I forgot. Still this error, we have to keep that in mind. I think I added some kind of key here, which doesn't like, but I'm not sure. Still have the error though. Still not starting. That's our boss. There's the interaction dialogue. Boss 1 SID. Command ID is nothing. Has these in there. Which is correct. So now the question is, why does it start? Doesn't it start? You have to go into what? Dialogue interaction? Maybe? Not the chain. What does this do? It is trigger. This is true, it just makes play interaction. So this is the player which can. Goes into this thing, which then starts our dialogue here. Do dialogue. This passes, I believe. Part 3. Let's open. The start tree it is. Hit machine, start tree, execute ID. This is true. Wait, it doesn't even start the dialogue. Maybe I have to look for this. Why does the CCM boss battle starter fire? That makes no sense. Or did it fire before I even touched this thing? I believe that... There's our dialogue. I cannot skip. Because it has no text maybe? Okay, we have to see real quick. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. So... strange things are happening. Okay, the start CCM. Good. Cancel here. With this error, yes. And it is. The problem right now is when I'm touching him, the dialog box appears. No text that I then cannot skip. Is it because it has no text? Or is it because the function is not doing its thing? Where are we? Should be here, true. Oh, it isn't. Oh, instead of boss, this should be battle. Is that the problem? Still not working because probably on the wrong part. What do we have? Battle. Oh, now it's in the correct thing. That interaction. Payload boss. What's the matter? The data table the wrong one? No. So what's the big deal? All seems to be working. No, this is really odd. Why is this not starting? Correct. Because it is lightning. In my book, this will start it. And it did start it, so why didn't it start before? Ah, because it probably was still in the writing mode. In an endless writing mode, and I skipped it. Oh boy. Okay, the thing works. I just need to add that skip functionality so we can start the battle without the dialogue. Although using dialogue for that is a little strange, but to make a new function for it is also strange. Just to start the battle. I guess the dialogue system is for that then. We touch it, press space, spray. What's this? Line cluster, whatever, it doesn't find because there is no text. I press space again since now it skipped to the end. It starts. Okay, that's the problem. So there are two things. First, it does not know what to do when there is no text. And second, we need the feature. And also one more thing. we have to figure this out too. And bug a 652 first press play button. Press play. I started game, but tempo enter trigger was not initialized, I think, since we could not enter. This is some kind of failsafe we have to do at some point. We have some errors in world map, and now we have to look into the 2 bugs we want to fix. This is also important. So first off, we need the state machine and UI. It's the UI. Thinking of why doesn't it put the dummy thing? I guess it fails because of the because it has no text or something, I'm not sure. See, the text is nothing. So this goes through, but I think when it tries to do this, fails current line, and it creates a line. But do I still have this here? Line cluster. It is from here where it has a problem. Yeah, this fails, I guess. Create new line though. Wait, why is that line cluster? Zero. And to access index 0 from array line clusters of length 0 in okay, that's not the function though. Alt by and string tree, whatever. What's this? This, I guess, just a string. Here, get current line string. This fails too. Should I make a debug here, or should I just read and try to find out? Oh, is this from the initialize? It is. This thing is null. This never happens. That is our problem, I think. Because then this cannot work. This is length 0. And we need at least 1 or else it cannot do anything. So what I could do is say not empty. Then go up there. Else your end of text. Do this too. Current letter. I don't know if we need this. I would assume we don't need it. But just let edit. Nah, we don't need this. Current letter index. Where do we set this? Just here. Set to 0. It just gets +1. Skip to end 0. So we do set it to 0 here again. And with this +1 it becomes 0, so instead we should do this. This should do it. So the bug is now gone, but we still need the feature where we can turn off the UI for that node. We could even make it as a chained thing. So we can fire multiple functions as empty nodes and abuse that feature. I mean, maybe it's not really abusing, but okay. Well, it had the same error. We were not at the end. Why did this not happen? Wait, it's not empty? Yeah. See? Ugh. The way I'm debugging this is very bad. Because I always walk to the boss. It's very time consuming. But I'm too lazy to make a test environment. It's like, you know you're almost done, but then turns out you're not almost done. But if you were almost done, then it would have been a time waste. So I am kinda in the mentality that I would waste time. I did that. Okay, so what's going on here? I press space. Press space again. Okay, it didn't even reach this part, but I'm not sure if it's because it's not reaching it or print didn't happen. The breakpoint just didn't happen because it doesn't know that this is not relevant to us. So here we are. Warning. Yes, it went here. Also went here. Something like that. I mean, it's probably not also, but who knows? Okay, with this we will have all the information we need, I would say. Either it is in there or the problem is somewhere else. Come here. So it doesn't even go there at all. Don't see any warnings. What's the problem is I have the correct idea probably. It shouldn't start this part. I forget that it should also do this. I assume. Yeah, this is 0. It goes. We end up here. We never set this. We never set this. Probably ends up here. Print. You are right, Saru. Which means if we are there, we just need to say, hey, you are at the end of the thing, and then everything is fine. Yes. All we have to do is we have to set our state machine to end the text. How do we start this? We start dialog and initial. Now we are at the end. This will never happen. Can actually get rid of this part. Could get this. To this. Don't even need this probably, because we are not even reaching where it could be relevant. So with this, now the bug is gone for sure. Which means we only have to press space once and it should go to the fight. Then we can concentrate on implementing the skip node functionality. Skip node, but execute functions functionality. I might want a drop down for that, as in normal, choice function, or no UI function. Because if I checkbox for choice, that's not possible with the skip one. I need to... Okay, so this works. Music, I don't care. Alright, everything works. So now, one of the things, this node Not this node, wait. A different one. This node. This thing needs to change into a drop down, I think. Let's search for this. It's only being used at one place, I thought, but it's actually on 4. No, I was right. So we are using it only in this place. If I make this an enum, we will use it at different places. Which means if I add something to this, I need to consider those, maybe. Unless I say equal this thing and it program and forget thing. So here we can check, okay, it's a choice. If true, then go in here. So let's make that. What do we call this? Dialog node type. Then there are 3 kinds. Normal. So normal, as in just a bubble, it goes through the speech, whatever. Choice, where there are function buttons, and then skip UI or bubble. Let's say skip bubble. Then this guy, this is now old. Node type. Here. And default is normal. Good. Probably need this. And then we have to look into all of our speeches. So boss is now a skip bubble. But we have to now also look at all the other things. Dummy, I don't care. Funning, wait, one thing we still have to implement is that the dummy portrait did not go into the thing. Where do we set this? Where's the image? Where do we set this thing? Happens here. This should still happen. I believe we should take this in front. Unless, of course, this is on null. If valid. If not, skip it. Maybe I need a default picture or something. But then yeah, we need to set a default if there is nothing set, because else it would just keep the old one. But maybe I want that. It is very, very dangerous to not have it implicit. Anyway, let's test it before I turn off the function. Now I would expect not to see Mirror's picture there. One more thing I should keep in mind, I hope I don't forget to write it down, is when I teleport orb links at the initialize phase, I need to make the trails not continue from the original point they are in, because they are just stretching. Makes no sense. Also, when they materialize, they should be like refreshed. So let's see. Yes, correct. Let's write that down before I forget. Orb link trails should not continue when teleporting. This happens at level start and materialize. Just something to keep in mind. Not a priority at all right now, but for the finished product this needs to be addressed. I don't know when, maybe years later. Maybe I even change the way the orb links function, but it needs to be addressed at some point. In some way. Anyway, let's implement the new type thing. Also, let's put all the correct dialogue things. The dummy. Wherever there's a true, there's no choice in here, but it should have a choice in here. There it is. So this one is not a normal, this is a choice now. I believe the other shops all have a choice. Yeah. What is this? Ah, okay, this was like the top that maybe will just disappear anyway. Okay, we added that. Now we have to implement it. This is not needed anymore. Yeah. What else? Now we have to do the skip. Instead of doing this. Instead of doing this. Open menu, memorize previous. So the UI still is the scanning factor? No. All driven by the state machine. If it's not skip bubble, do this. If it's skip bubble, then we have to do something else. We don't engage in this. It does not do the set time by event, which means we have to go the next node. If there is no node, it will just jump off. I need to do it here. Or maybe even here. How do we do the next ID? Is it just +1? Now, is that a problem? If I go to the next... Yeah, it would be a problem if I implement a function that should end. I need to explicitly say that it ends. The moment we add this, it either needs to be at the end and has no other nodes, or I need to tell it that the next node it has, like the next element, is an exit free one. I can go here and say the function is an exit 3, so do it like that. But this now would skip the bubble, but it would still show the dialogue. Is that a problem? Because this is like an instant. If I now go to the boss fight, it will just start immediately. And we probably don't see the dialogue box. But it could appear one frame, which is bad. We would need to fix that. I could make it so that if you're in the skip bubble that it hides the UI, but then I need to make sure that the UI is visible again at a normal UI. We'll see. The horizon is very, very empty. Horizon, I mean. Here, there's nothing interesting going on here. I do need something interesting in the sky. Oh. Not triggering the function. Of course, it cannot function. Okay, so there was a little oversight. When I do this, I also need to play the function. So if this is true, we also need function get copy. Oh. Why would I have an empty bubble that I don't show without a function? So this would always have something, or else it's an error anyway. Right? So we need to do whatever that says. And now, whatever this says, does it go to the next node when it finishes? Automatically or not? All these just close the dialogue. How can I ensure that it can go to the next dialogue if the thing is terminating? Because now, okay, my functionality works. That's great. But I cannot, when I have any other function that does not terminate the dialogue, some animation or something, it will get stuck. Unless I tell the animation, of course, that it needs to go to the next node. And maybe not make it automatic here. How would I do this? Can I even? As it stands, all the functions just close the UI. This one would do. Let's at least see if it works. Perfect. Okay, so the new features also in, and we reach the points where the old dialogue has been replaced. What do I do from here? One thing we should tackle is the 2 errors we get from the world thing here. I don't know what's going on here. Local split path. That makes an error. Now this should trigger already here. Hub 1! Of course! Of course. Now my save game has a wrong key because we don't have that key. Where did I put this? How does it know that the next one should be hub? Where are my keys? There are... Could be it. What if we don't have a path? Okay, start area, path, start area, path ID, outgoing sources, 0. What does that even mean? Ah, okay, this is just a path. But what is this? Why does it have 2? Ah. I see. Can tell this that it has like a incoming and outgoing. If I remove this, for now, it should be fine. And what is Neo 1.1? Is the actually old one that I don't use anymore, right? If I delete this, it should be fine. Should eliminate that error. Because right now we don't have the hub island. Good, so that error is gone. This is another thing we could look into. That's done. This is done. To, not do. Content dependent additions. That's okay. Localized, need different languages. Highlights, animate letters. I mean, what does animate letters mean? Typewriter thing is there, but highlights or shaders in different words I don't have. Don't need dialogue, animation. I would say that is done. Animated portrait. That's... If I have like a mouth or eyes and whatever, I could make it so that it moves, but this is now optional. Option to have voice. Okay. What else? Are scary bugs. Need to do a package. We also need to update Unreal. Should do these soon. Should make a package. See if it packages. Do a quick round and then do an Unreal update and do another package. Then if there are no errors, the packaging process, whatever, then fine. Always add unique now. To look at this. Right now the save game is corrupted already. I could make some kind of function that overwrites it and then just revert it. Save game, but that important. So our save game here, but this is the we should also remove this now. Not getting used, I believe, hopefully. Have it here. Both times we don't use it anymore. This thing we can do it. Save this. This. All. Here we have to look at the progression and check anywhere where we add something, it needs to be add unique. Add unique, correct. Paints, then one is probably the wrong one. Yes. Add unique needs to be this thing here. Now the bug is gone, but my save game is still corrupt. But I don't care. Because at some point I will restart anyway. I need to play it again and then it will solve itself. Okay. Is there anything else? Or we continue with something more serious? I wonder when I will tackle this, because I have no idea what kind of font I should make for my game. I guess I could do some dummy font for now. But it is a big workload, right? Because for every single letter I need to make some kind of glyph. Like not only the alphabet, but also the numbers and symbols. Oh well. Should we look into this? You have a test text here anyway. Could try it on there. Should I freeze the game when I'm talking to someone? Or the time at least? So I guess it's something I need to figure out at some point, but for now we leave it as is. So how can I add a material onto a text? Can I do it without splitting the text? Just apply it at some letters? Probably not, right? Probably the material will apply on everything. There's a font material. very bad in the on the eyes. Whatever. Some kind of shader. Adding a shader is pretty easy. Now to make it happen though, I would need to do a very specific thing. So either maybe that's it is pretty easy to do. So let's see first. Where to have them next to each other. Horizontal box, and then let's add this and this in there. Content. Let's see, 400 to 400. 400. They seem to be rather close. But this one, of course, the normal text has a smaller gap. I guess it's because of the sized content that does it a little different because of some kind of margin, I guess. We could compensate this by doing our own margin. -1 will be good. So let's say new text. Hello 111. I am Saru, comma, space. How are you? And then I copy this part, put it in the second, and then copy the other part here. this seems to have worked out pretty well. So with a horizontal text or horizontal panel, I could add new text areas to make them have these things. But I would need to switch the way I do the logic of the text lines to be able to achieve this. But with this I could add new fonts, whatever, in specific parts of the text. Now how would I tag this? How would I tell a text to have this? Would I have it in here? The only problem I have is, okay, I can start with some kind of tags, whatever. But I also need to terminate them to get to the normal font again. There are multiple ways to do this. I could just make a tag to activate some kind of new stuff. Would also mean that every time I scan, I need to see if there's another tag afterwards and make a new text area with these new options. What if I say, I don't know, material 1 and font 2, and after 2 words I switch the font? That won't work. I mean, I can make it, but every time then I see a tag, I would need to check. a cool feature, but it will be hell of a development task, I guess. I would assume I can do something in a day, but I don't know what kind of errors I will encounter with this. Hello, Amoa. How is today's session going? Pretty good, I would say. I finished everything I wanted to do for today, and now I'm looking into the new things I might start or do next time. Right now we are I'm thinking about a system that can handle something like this. Have different styles of text written in a dialogue. And I have all the puzzle pieces. Now I'm thinking about the system, how to achieve this in my raw data. How can I tag words or passages to have different materials or fonts? Maybe even animations or something like that. Speaking of animations, how would I do even that? How can I animate a word without having it already in my UI? How can I animate something that is not present in my UI? Let's see. Unreal, animate something present yet, or something like that. Spawnable is not the way to go here, of course. What do you mean? Pre-written? I mean, yes, of course, everything is pre-written, no? How else would you read the text if it's not written already? Or what do you mean? I mean, okay, it is written in data, but it is not written in UI. That is a distinction. So the text fields are empty. The text fields even don't exist. They get created at runtime on a dynamic basis. Like if I go here, it looks like this. I can start a dialogue, and every single line is a text area right now that is just created while it was typewriting affected. Like when I go to the next part, now this one is created, now this one is created, now this one is created. So they are not pre-existing, if that was what you meant. So right now I don't know how to animate them. I could, of course, add an animation, but it has no target. They are stored in data assets here, like this part. And then the dialog system gets it from the dialog state machine, hand it over as a node, and then it scans through and writes them letter by letter, or in this instance 3 letters by 3 letters. And then it also checks, hey, am I at the last line of my part? Then it pauses and then I can continue, and then it writes another 3. But how can I target something that is not already in the UI for an animation? Oh, okay, I'm not entirely sure how you would do it when it's written like that. I would have split it up, gotten the information I would want from the text, front animation text itself, then combined them to make the final text. Yeah, but I have a typewriter animation. I cannot just have the text be displayed already. I don't know how to say. I cannot make something that knows the distance of letters. I cannot just hide the text and then reveal one letter after the other. I need to actually tell the text that it needs to get only 3 letters and then another 3 letters. But I also need to, that's also the problem, right? I mean, the thing you said would still not solve my problem, as the text I use would need to have different text areas. So it is still dynamic, because you cannot achieve this with one text. These are 2 text fields. And the moment I make this dynamic, we don't have a target for the animation. The only way would be to maybe have like text areas that are already there but empty that I can just fill. So maybe I have like 10 of these and then they are just filled. Then I could maybe animate them, but that would also mean that I'm then permanently fixed with 3 lines with like 10 elements. That sounds like a very, very bad workaround for just an animation that I probably won't even use. Because why would I even want to animate a text, how to say, a word? Why would I want to animate a word? I mean, for a funny thing, I could just spin Saru around, maybe, but why? Why would I want to animate? I mean, it could be one detail that makes the game seem more polished. But maybe I don't need animations for that. Because I could achieve still having different fonts or materials. And I could also make it so that I could write, make some kind of pause and write more and so on. That is also possible. But I think animating words, now that has multiple problems actually. Not only don't I know the target, but when do I even animate? The word needs to appear. I need to know that the word appeared. I need to know when the animation should start. And then target the correct word to animate. I think that's like a can of worms. I think I will not animate words or text passages. I could animate by blueprints. With tick and stuff, but why? Makes no sense. I have several problems with this anyway. First, it is extremely hard. Second, it would be a workaround. And third, I don't even have a use case yet. I don't know where I would even use a animated word. I think I should not think more about this. Because I have no use case for it. I was just thinking to have all the options, but sometimes it's just not worth it. The base is already there. right now we are in the place to make the framework for everything. Because if I have this in the idea pile and then I continue development and then at some point I reach the end of my pre-production, then there is no way I can implement it anymore. So either I implement it now and the feature is there, or it will be very hard to implement these things at a later stage. Because then the systems are all set and anything I want to do is not that flexible anymore. It is a huge risk. But I think I will not do it anyway. The only thing that I could do is like having different fonts and whatever. I even could add some kind of blueprint animation on them. Because this would still make it possible. Or I don't know, make it fade in or something or whatever. But now we have the problem that my current system cannot handle this. I would need to add this feature. And secondly, now I need to think about how to add this into the text to know, okay, this part here, it has a backslash material, and then I need something. I don't know, like these, and then it has like an ID in it, and then I would know, okay, material 1 is getting set here. And then I need also a terminator. Like again an M, I don't know. And what if I have something like this? Font 1, material 1, and then material close, and but the font just goes on and then font close. You could also have a tag for close everything to default. Like, I don't know, have \D to make it default again. Every time we have one of these, a new line needs to start. And then add it into the horizontal box with a margin -1 to the left. Maybe it even depends on the font I use. What if we have different font size? So if this is font size 12, this is 12, this is 12, do they still fit? Wait, why is this 2 and not 12? Yeah, they still fit. Okay, so -1 has nothing to do with the font size. But maybe it has something to do with fonts. That's something we have to figure out. I think there are no standard other fonts in here, right? What is Droid Sans Mono? Let's try that. Droid Mono. It still fits. So maybe -1 is universal? I'm not sure. I still need to... How do other games do this? Like how does it Celeste, or how does it Katana Zero? How do they do that? How does their system know that they need to stop at some points, that some words need to be this and that? How do they tag their text? Is there anything online? They ever show any of their features? Apparently the texts are in there, so maybe I just download Celeste and look at their English text file and see how they did it. Let's see, download. Wonder how big was the game? Shouldn't be too big, right? 2%, 3%. Okay, it will take a little bit. Oh, is it Katana Zero? Mm-hmm. I would need some kind of identifier that the next bracket is information. I guess something like a backslash. And then this could be our identifier. And then we could open a bracket and then say something like, I don't know, effect type, and then values. And then it could be something like, I don't know, material for material would be mat ID. False. B times seconds. So when it finds like this, then it could wait, and then after this time passes, it could continue writing. Typewriter beat ES beat value typewriter letter jump DJ Maybe this should have a different thing. I think this would work as a system, no? And then number of letters. Font and an ID. I guess materials would be in a map, fonts would be in a map. Could make something like pause and then adjust speed. Then it could be like write something and then it pauses there and then goes slowly. I could do some characteristics or emotions, etc. I could animate this. Wait, you wrote something again. I didn't even realize. And you should put it in an idea. Yeah, that was the last thing I read, and then I thought I only tested out a tiny portion of this sort of system. That one I thought was something I already read, and I ignored it. I did end up using a typewriter system, but I can't recall exactly how I did it. I mean, I am coming up with my solution right now, so... I mean, the typewriter effect I already have. Just the typewriter itself needs to have some effects now. Celeste is also downloaded now. Maybe I can look at their text. Let's see if I can find it. I browse to the local files. Here. Huh, they're all here. English, French. How big is this? Oh, this is a big file. Let's see, how did they do it? 22. Madeline left upset. So they tag the things even in this text. You don't get many visitors up here, do you? Granny right normal. So every time there's like this space, there's a new thing. There's an N here. What is this? I really tried to get through to a name. .N. I wanted to help him. Oshiro, what's the plus, I wonder? Anchor top, wait up, trigger 0, enter to you from above, he falls and lands on the ground face down. Why is this a text? Percent, star, and then it also has like a terminator like this. Very interesting. Trigger 2. Theo gets up. I guess this is like only relevant for the code is this part, and this is for translators. So they have some kind of context maybe? I cannot imagine this being a code relevant part. I hope they never implemented like a if case where this is getting checked. Look at lever I mean. What else do we have? Good. An idea. What is N? That's some kind of break? Or pause? Anchor top. I guess the UI gets anchored at some points. So their text is very, very scripted, very, very, how to say, like a theater. It's very readable, pretty nice. I would imagine this is very, very easy for a translator to use. Ah, there is the coloring. Instapics, what's that? My Instapics, my followers are gonna eat this up. Theo plus. I guess the plus just means that it has some kind of font change for this text. You know, something probably wobbly. What is though? Your boy Theo. Is this a color? This certainly is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very, very interesting to see actually how they did this. Did they use any system or did they build something themselves, I wonder? I mean, they needed to build something themselves or have some kind of library and then use their assets on it. What interesting. So, what is this? What is this? This is the wobbly thing. What is this? Feel these eyes are start staring at me. Very interesting. Should I encapsulate a text into my effects? Then I wouldn't need default reset. Every time I make an effect, I would need to open it and close it. But then my system needs to be able to read it. Do I make trigger points or do I make trigger points with area modes or something like that? Like a trigger point would be this. This is like a pulse. Okay, that can only be in at one place. I could of course say this could be an area, like make the trigger with this and then have the text there, but What if I want to add things? So maybe I only work with triggers. I just need to be very specific about the terminators. But this also means I need to build a system that someone else will also use, meaning that it should be robust. If there is an error, firstly, it needs to tell me. And secondly, if some kind of terminator is missing, it should not make the whole text for that effect. How can I make sure that not everything breaks? Should I care? I definitely won't be able to check every single text a translator sends me. Then again, anything that I cover up is still an error. So it might be better to leave a big error so I can fix it than to cover it up and people not noticing error. Right? So maybe I will just make it with trigger points. And the translator also needs to leave these trigger points at the correct places. Now, one thing that stuck in my head from Celeste is they have these descriptions of animations in there. In my current system, this would not be in there. But I also don't have animations yet, so I don't know what kind of animations I would even have. But my exporter tool maybe should have some kind of system in place where it can add extra information for translators. there any other effect I want to add? I mean, material and fonts, that's easy. Could even write, like, I don't know, change some sizes or whatever. That's like when we actually need it, because I don't know if we need something like that. Could be from the font itself already. It would be funny though to have like very small fonts for whispering. Like some guy could be a comedic relief and would be like some rival you have, and then it could tell you like rules of the game, and anything he whispers would be very, very small written, so you don't hear it or something. And then you can play the game, and then if you read the small thing, he would be surprised that you actually knew about it or something. I don't know. Something like that. So maybe even have size or something, I don't know. And we can add even more things, but I think we need to make it trigger based, and this would be the trigger. For example, if we have like a material, it would be starting with this, and then we make this, and then say material ID is 0, and then it would start it. Now, how do we terminate? One termination could be reset, but that would make everything. Maybe a reset option for everything. Reset default would be D maybe. So if I do this again and say D, it would just use the default material again. That would mean it would clutter if I want to only do this for one word. So maybe tags could be for one word only. I mean, pause doesn't matter. Material matters. Speed matters. Jump matters. Font size, these matter. But I could maybe make it default to only be for one word. And if I want to have a longer thing, I could say continuous or something. How can I tag this? Like a option tag. So we could have like, I don't know. If we have continuous, how can we then stop it? When it gets another of these. But my tool should have an option where I can select a dialog tree and then make it play out. So the translator could see the original, how it looks, and then make his own text and then test it out and see if it matches the original. I think that's how this should go. How do I terminate a C? Can I just terminate it with this and then it's fine? Let's say we terminate with this, and if I do it like this, then it just uses for the next word. And if it finds a space or some other symbol, that's the thing, right? If I have a text like, hello, I am Saru, this would be a word that should ignore anything that is not a letter. But what do you do in a case like this? It would then only use this and forget this thing. For that, I guess we would need to use the continuous one. I just hope that the idea that per default it's just one word instead of the continuous version is the way to go. Or should it be continuous and the tag should be for one word? I mean, for materials, one word makes sense, but speed, typewriter speed, feels like continuous is the way to go. But why will I use that a lot? Cannot foresee this. Really hard. Oh well. I think we will find out at a later stage in development what default should be, but I think something like this we could implement and then see how this goes. Maybe that's what I will do next time. And next time won't be tomorrow. Next time will probably be the day after. Like the day before New Year's. How to say? Is it New Year's at 31 or is it at January's 1? I don't know. So in 2 days anyway, I will continue development. And I will not continue with my VR chat avatar today as something came up, so I have to do stuff. So that needs to wait for 2 days also. Maybe tomorrow, who knows? Depends on how things go. Alright. Who's still here? I don't know. Amoa. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye, monkey.